let's take a look at Psalm 107. But to do that, it might be easier if you go read it. So go read it. I'll wait right here for a minute. And when you get back, we'll keep on going.
2 hours later.
Oh, you finished reading. Good. Oh, good. Okay, I was working on some stuff. Yeah. So Psalm 107, let's take a look at it. So Psalm 107, you'll see, if you noticed as you were reading, is broken up in a couple different ways. Verse 4, 10, 17, and 23 all start with some. Some people were doing this, some wandered here, some were fools, some went down to the sea in ships. So all of these verses start a new little section, but all of it starts by saying, oh, give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, or the redeemed of Yahweh say so, whom he has redeemed from trouble and gathered in from the lands from the east and west, from the north and from the south. So God has gathered all these people everywhere. And at the end of the psalm, you hear the same type of thing. Whoever is wise, let him attend to these things, everything that was just talked about. Let them consider the steadfast love of Yahweh. So again, the emphasis that God is full of abundant mercy that continues forever. And when you look at these different sections, compared to the previous Psalms that are more historical, poetically describing Israel leaving from Egypt and all of that, these seem a little bit more abstract, just general statements about people wandering in deserts or in the darkness or fools. And yet you see that these are things that Jesus does do. The people who are wandering in the wilderness, he comes to be their shepherd, gathering them together. The people who sit in darkness, in the shadow of death, prisoners, he sets free from sin and death. Some were fools through their sinful ways, and Jesus, who is the life and the light of the world, the one who is wisdom incarnate, comes to give them life. But especially verse 23 and following. Some went down to the sea in ships, doing business on the great waters. They saw the deeds of Yahweh, his wondrous works in the deep. For he commanded and raised the stormy wind, which lifted up the waves of the sea. They mounted up to heaven. They went down to the depths. Their courage melted away in their evil plight. They reeled and staggered like drunken men and were at their wits' end. Then they cried to Yahweh in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. He made the storm be still, and the waves of the sea were hushed. Then they were quiet. Then they were glad that the waters were quiet, and he brought them to their desired haven. Sounds exactly like what Jesus did as he calmed the storm for the disciples. So we see all of this is, again, pointing us to Jesus, who is doing all of these things as he comes to save us, to set us free, to give us wisdom, to gather us together as we wander, and to deliver us from evil. And so we pray, Lord, help us to remember that steadfast love which endures forever and to look to you for all things. God be praised. Go in peace, serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.